Mom, go home right now. The baby's in danger. My 6-year-old daughter Emma suddenly grabbed my clothes and screamed in the queue for a Disneyland attraction. Everyone around us turned at once. I knelt down and looked into Emma's eyes. What's wrong? What happened? Emma was trembling and crying. Her small body was rigid with fear. The baby. Aunt Lily. Something was stuck in my daughter's throat, words she couldn't form. I immediately took out my phone and called my sister Lily. The ringtone continued. No answer. No matter how many times I called, she didn't pick up. Anxiety gripped my chest, and my breathing became shallow. Claire, it's okay. Lily's there. My husband David placed his hand on my shoulder. That hand should have felt warm, but somehow it felt cold. But Emma's eyes were serious. Those eyes weren't lying. As a mother, I knew. We left the line and ran to the parking lot. An hour earlier, we had left home with smiles. Our 5-month-old son Noah. Soft hair, tiny hands. My sister Lily had said cheerfully at the door, "Leave it to me." Lily was a former pediatric nurse, much better with babies than I was. I thought I could relax with her there. Have fun at Disneyland. I'll watch Noah. Lily had waved at the door. But behind that smile, something felt off. Her eyes weren't smiling. Looking back now, maybe that was a sign. 2 years ago, Lily had a miscarriage at 7 months pregnant. Since then, she had changed. The cheerful sister I knew became quiet, stopped joking around. She stopped going to gatherings with friends. When I asked, "Are you okay?" she always answered, "I'm fine." But her eyes weren't smiling. And recently, she had started staying over at my house more often. Watching Noah heals me. Lily would say that while sitting in front of the baby's crib. Sometimes for hours. Even when Noah was asleep, she would just stare. I thought that gaze was love. But now it's different. Maybe it was something else. In the car, I kept calling my sister over and over. No answer. I sent messages. They weren't being read. I called our neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez. She was a former social worker who had lived next door to us for years. Rodriguez. Please, can you check the house? My voice was shaking. After a moment of silence, Mrs. Rodriguez answered in a calm voice. Okay, Claire. I'll go right now. 5 minutes later, Mrs. Rodriguez called back. There was tension in her voice. Claire, no one's here. But the front door is open. My heart pounded violently. Please look inside. Please. I'm going in now. In the living room, there's a cell phone on the floor. Where's Noah? He's not here. I don't see him anywhere. My world collapsed. David pressed the accelerator. He ran red lights. Horns blared. But I couldn't hear anything. All I heard was Noah's crying voice screaming inside my chest. When we arrived home, I jumped out before the car stopped. The front door was open. Wind was blowing inside. Lily's phone was on the living room floor. The screen was cracked. As if someone had thrown it. Noah. Lily. My scream echoed through the empty house. No response. Only an eerie silence. I searched the entire house. I opened the bedroom door. No one. The bed was still made. I ran to the kitchen. Empty. I went down to the basement. Nothing in the darkness. My breathing was labored. My chest hurt. Mrs. Rodriguez came in through the front door. Deep worry was etched on her face. Emma was trembling slightly beside me. David was walking around the house while calling the police on his phone. Then Emma tugged at my hand. Mom. What is it, Emma? My daughter said in a small voice, but clearly. Aunt Lily's been acting strange lately. I knelt down and looked into Emma's eyes. What do you mean? Tell me. Emma started to speak, though trembling. At night, she cries in Noah's room a lot. I heard her when I got up to use the bathroom. Did she say anything? My daughter gripped my clothes tightly. I'm sorry, Mommy's late. But it's okay now. Let's go together, over and over. My blood froze. Go together. Where? David had hung up the phone and was looking this way. I couldn't read his expression. When did you start hearing this? For a long time, but this morning was the strangest. This morning? What happened this morning? Tears overflowed from Emma's eyes. She said, I'm going to end everything today. While holding Noah. Those words echoed in me over and over. End everything. And what? I stood up and looked around the house. There must be something I was missing. A clue. Something Lily had left behind. And then I noticed. The door to the stairs leading to the roof was slightly open. The roof. I rushed to the stairs. David shouted from behind, Claire, wait. But I couldn't wait. Noah might be there. I ran up the stairs. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. My heart rose to my throat. I pushed open the door to the roof. Strong sunlight stabbed my eyes. And then I saw her. My sister Lily. She was sitting on the edge of the roof, holding Noah. Time stopped. The wind was blowing. Lily's hair swayed. Noah was sleeping quietly. As if nothing was wrong. But right behind the edge was the bottom of the 5-story building. The asphalt parking lot. Lily. At my voice, my sister turned around. Her face was a mess of tears. Her eyes were red and swollen. How long had she been crying? I'm sorry. My sister's voice trembled. The voice she had when she did something wrong as a child. But this wasn't a child's mischief. What are you doing? Give me Noah. Please. I tried to step forward. But Mrs. Rodriguez grabbed my arm. She shook her head. A silent message not to provoke her. Lily shook her head. This child is my child. What are you saying? Lily, get a hold of yourself. This is the child I was supposed to give birth to. The child I lost 2 years ago. My sister's voice got louder. Almost a scream. Noah moved a little. He might wake up. If he wakes up and cries, Lily might be startled. I didn't want to imagine it. Lily, please. Come down. Let's talk. Okay. But my sister wasn't listening. Her eyes were looking far away. At some other place. Some other time. David came up the stairs. He came out onto the roof. He saw my sister and stopped. Lily, calm down. At David's voice, Lily's body stiffened. As if electricity had run through her. And then she slowly stood up. Don't come near. Lily screamed. Fear was mixed in that voice. Not just sadness. Fear. Some other emotion. I'm so tired of everything. What happened? Tell me, Lily. I'm your sister. Tell me everything. My sister looked at me. There was despair in those eyes. But at the same time, I also saw a strong will to say something. She said in a trembling voice. David. At that moment, my husband stepped forward. Lily, you're losing it. You're mentally unstable. No. My sister screamed. Noah woke up. A small crying voice. My heart almost stopped. What you did? I can't stay silent anymore. David grabbed my arm. That hand was strong, painfully so. Claire, don't listen. She doesn't know what she's saying. The trauma from the miscarriage has broken her mentally. But something was wrong. Lily's eyes. Those weren't the eyes of someone lying. And David's hand. Why was he gripping so hard? As if he was trying to stop me. At that moment, Emma's voice came from behind. Daddy's lying. Everyone turned around. Emma was standing at the entrance to the stairs. With her small body, but with strong eyes, she was staring at her father. Emma, go to your room. David said in a low voice. But our daughter didn't move. Daddy went into Aunt Lily's room at night. Many times. I heard her crying. The world stopped. The sound of the wind, the sound of cars, nothing could be heard. Only Emma's words echoed in my head. Emma, that's. I looked at my daughter. And then at David. My husband's face had turned pale. That's not true, it's a misunderstanding. But there was no conviction in that voice. Lily screamed. I can't stay silent anymore. For 6 months. I've been enduring it. My sister's voice was a scream. As if all the accumulated pain was exploding. You told me many times, if you tell anyone, I'll kill you. No one will believe you. Even today you came back, you tried to take Noah hostage. So I ran, to the roof. Mrs. Rodriguez quietly raised her phone. The recording app was running on the screen. A red light was blinking. I recorded everything. Her voice was calm. But there was anger in those eyes. David backed away. No, it's not true. Claire, believe me. But I didn't know what to believe anymore. I stared at David. The husband I had lived with for 10 years. The man who gave me Emma. Noah's father. But did I really know this man standing in front of me now? David, tell me the truth. My voice was calmer than I expected. Even though there was a storm inside my heart. Claire, you're going to believe them too. Lily's sick. She can't see reality because of the trauma from the miscarriage. There was desperation in David's voice. But his eyes were darting. Lily said in a trembling voice. Believe me. I'm not lying. My sister was still standing on the edge of the roof. Holding Noah. The wind was getting stronger. Clouds hid the sun, and shadows fell on the roof. Lily, come down first. Give Noah to me. Then tell me everything. I reached out my hand. The distance to my sister was 5 meters. But it felt far. No. David will again. Lily's gaze turned to David. There was pure fear in those eyes. The eyes of prey looking at a predator. I realized. My sister was afraid of my husband. From the bottom of her heart. Mrs. Rodriguez slowly stepped forward. Lily, trust me. I'll protect you. I won't let David near you. The former social worker's voice had a strange persuasive power. Lily's body relaxed a little. Really? Really? I'm always on your side. And I recorded everything. There's evidence. David shook his head violently. What evidence? You're all crazy. My husband's voice grew louder. But that loudness wasn't from confidence. It was from fear. The scream of a cornered animal. Emma came to my side. She held my hand with her small hand. Mom, what Aunt Lily's saying is true. My daughter's voice was trembling, but it was clear. Emma, Why do you think that? Because Aunt Lily cried a lot at night. And Daddy would come out of her room. I saw it many times. David took a step toward his daughter. Emma, you were dreaming. Children can't tell the difference between reality and dreams. It wasn't a dream. Emma shouted. My 6-year-old daughter shouted at her father. Daddy told me, don't tell Mom. If you're a good girl, I'll take you to Disneyland. Something broke inside me. Disneyland. Today's Disneyland. Was that a reward for silence? To make my daughter an accomplice? David. I looked at my husband. There was anxiety and anger on that face, and some other emotion. Guilt. Or regret. No, Claire. You're misunderstanding. Then explain. Why is Lily so frightened? Why is Emma saying you went into my sister's room? David opened his mouth, but no words came out. Silence flowed. The wind blew. Noah cried softly. Lily slowly began to speak. It started 3 months ago. My sister's voice was shaking. But she kept talking. The night I stayed at your house. The door opened in the middle of the night. David came in. Lily, stop. David said in a low voice. But my sister didn't stop. At first he said, I came to check on you. But he sat on the bed. He touched me. My knees shook. I felt like I couldn't stand. He said, don't tell anyone. If you do, I'll put you in a mental hospital. I can prove you've been crazy since you had the miscarriage. Lily's tears wouldn't stop. I was scared. I didn't want to hurt you, so I kept quiet. But it continued. Every time I stayed over. When I refused, he said, if you tell anyone, something might happen to Noah. My world was crumbling. Was this the truth? My husband. To my sister. And today. Lily's voice rose. Today, after you left, David came back. He said, I forgot something. But when I saw his eyes, I knew. Today he was serious. He picked up Noah. He said, I'm taking him with me. When I tried to stop him, he knocked my phone out of my hand. The phone on the living room floor. The cracked screen. Lily didn't drop it. I desperately got Noah back. And I ran. I didn't know where to run, to the roof. Here, people can see. David can't do anything by force. But. Lily looked at me. There was despair in those eyes. But I'm so tired. I can't live anymore. But I want to protect Noah. So together. No. I screamed. Lily, don't say you'll die together. You're not wrong. David is. I turned back to David. My husband was pale. Is this the truth? Answer me. David shook his head many times. No, it's a misunderstanding. But there was no strength in that voice. Mrs. Rodriguez showed me her phone screen. Recording time 45 minutes. Everything was recorded. The police are already here. They're waiting downstairs. At Mrs. Rodriguez's words, David's face twisted. You. I've been a social worker for 30 years. I don't miss signs of abuse. Mrs. Rodriguez was calm. I saw you going into Lily's room at night from my window. Many times. At first I thought I was imagining it. But I wasn't. So today, when Claire called me, I started recording right away. I heard everything. I recorded everything. David backed away. Cornered. No escape. And suddenly, he ran toward the stairs. But police officers were coming up from the bottom of the stairs. 2, 3 of them. Don't move. The police officer's voice. David stopped. As if resigned, he collapsed on the spot. One of the police officers approached me. "Ma'am, are you all right?" I couldn't answer. I could only nod. Another police officer slowly approached Lily. "We'll ensure your and the baby's safety. Please come here slowly." The police officer's voice was gentle. Lily, trembling, slowly moved away from the edge. 1 step, 2 steps. The police officer extended his hand. Lily grabbed that hand. And my sister came to a safe place. I ran. To Lily. My sister handed Noah to me. A small warm body. Alive. Safe. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry," Lily repeated. I held Noah with one hand and hugged my sister with the other arm. "Don't apologize. You protected him. You protected Noah." My sister broke down crying on my shoulder. 10 years worth of tears. No, more. All the pain, fear, and despair were overflowing. David was handcuffed. He was being led down the stairs by the police. He looked back once. What was in those eyes? Regret? Anger? Or was there nothing at all? I didn't know anymore. And I didn't want to know. The police station was cold. The fluorescent light was white, sterile, thrusting everything at me as reality. I sat in a chair holding Noah. Emma was sleeping next to me. Exhausted. Lily was being questioned in another room. A detective sat in front of me. There was kindness in her eyes. "Ma'am, I know this is difficult, but I need to ask you some questions." I nodded. I couldn't speak. "About your husband, David Mitchell, did you notice anything suspicious?" Suspicious. I thought. Was there anything? Coming home late at night. But he said it was work. Always carrying his phone. But isn't that normal? I don't know. I didn't notice anything. Tears came at my own helplessness. My sister was suffering so much. Right in front of me. "Ma'am, it's not your fault," the detective said gently. "These perpetrators act perfectly even in front of their families. It's natural that you didn't notice." But those words weren't comforting. The next day, even more shocking facts came to light. The content the detective told me was unbelievable. As a result of our investigation, your husband had a prior record. A record? No, not exactly a record. It was settled. Sexual assault on his ex-wife. The world shook. Ex-wife. David had said he'd been married before. But he said the reason for divorce was incompatibility. His ex-wife testified. "She suffered the same harm as your sister. He was violent even during her pregnancy, and she miscarried." Lily's miscarriage. 2 years ago. Could it be? Could Lily's miscarriage also be? The detective nodded. "We examined your sister's medical records. The injuries at the time of the miscarriage match assault rather than a fall down the stairs." I leaned back in my chair. Everything was connecting. A terrifying puzzle was being completed. The settlement with the ex-wife was $50,000. In exchange for her silence, she accepted it. $50,000. We didn't have that kind of money in our savings. The investigation continued. A lawyer came to me. A female lawyer in her 30s. A brisk way of speaking. "Claire, I have bad news." "Is there more?" "David borrowed money in your name." "What?" The lawyer spread out documents. There was an unfamiliar signature. My name. But not my handwriting. $120,000. Gambling debts and additional settlement money to his ex-wife. He forged your signature. It's been confirmed by handwriting analysis. $120,000. Enough money to buy our house. In my name. Furthermore, the lawyer took out another document. The beneficiary of the life insurance has been changed. From you to David's mother. But I don't remember making such a change. This is also signature forgery. My hands shook. What did this mean? He was planning to, you. The lawyer chose her words. There's a possibility he was planning something. In the police search of the house, more evidence was found. From the drawer of David's desk. Records of large purchases of sleeping pills. Ordered online. From overseas sites where you could buy without a prescription. And forged medical records. A diagnosis made in my name. Postpartum depression. Possibility of suicide. The attending physician's signature was also forged. The detective explained everything. Probably he was planning to put you to sleep with sleeping pills and make it look like suicide. The insurance money would go to his mother. The debts might be written off with your death. It should have been a perfect plan. But the plan went wrong. Lily noticed. Emma noticed. Mrs. Rodriguez noticed. The trial began. The courtroom was overflowing with people. David's lawyer was a young man. Wearing an expensive suit. Lily Thompson's testimony is not credible. She suffers from mental illness from the trauma of her miscarriage. The lawyer said to the jury. It's her delusion. David Mitchell is innocent. But the prosecution had evidence. Mrs. Rodriguez's recording. A complete record of 45 minutes. Lily's testimony. David's threats. Everything was recorded. And witnesses took the stand. First, Emma. My 6-year-old daughter stood at the witness stand. A small body. But straight eyes. You're David Mitchell's daughter, correct? The prosecutor asked gently. Yes. Can you tell us about your father? Emma spoke clearly, though trembling. Daddy went into Aunt Lily's room at night. How many times did you see this? A lot. About 5 times. Did your father say anything? He said, don't tell Mom. If you're a good girl, I'll give you a reward. The jurors looked at each other. And then the next witness. The ex-wife. She was a woman in her mid-30s. Dressed conservatively. But there was deep sadness in her eyes. I was also sexually assaulted by David. Her voice trembled. He was violent even during my pregnancy. And I miscarried. Why didn't you report it to the police? He threatened me. I'll put you in a mental hospital. No one will believe you. And he offered me a settlement. $50,000. In exchange for my silence. I needed the money. I couldn't even pay medical bills. So I accepted. She shed tears. But I regret it. If I had spoken up earlier, maybe Lily wouldn't have been hurt. The courtroom fell silent. Lily also took the witness stand. My sister was thin. But there was strength in her eyes. David threatened me for 6 months. My sister spoke carefully, one by one. Today, when he came back to the house, I realized. He was serious about taking Noah. So I ran. To protect him. The prosecutor presented evidence. Messages found on David's phone. Threatening texts to Lily. If you tell anyone, I'll take Noah somewhere no one will ever find him. I'll prove you're mentally ill. No one will believe what you say. Everything was recorded. Deleted, but recovered. And the final piece of evidence. Audio that Lily had secretly recorded. The sound of David entering her room. You're mine. Don't tell anyone. Evidence of assault. Clear evidence. The jury's verdict came down. Guilty. A murmur arose in the courtroom. The charges: sexual assault, threatening, fraud, signature forgery, attempted murder. Sentence: 25 years. David didn't change his expression. He just stared ahead. When he was being taken away, he looked at me once. There was nothing in those eyes. They were empty. A civil trial also began. Lily and I sued David for damages. All of David's assets were seized. House, car, savings. The forged debt of $120,000 was voided. And the court ordered, David must pay $500,000 in damages to Lily and me. His parents' house was also sold. The amount still not enough would be deducted from future income. When it was all over, I hugged Lily outside the courtroom. It's over. My sister was crying. But those tears were a little different. Tears of liberation. Thank you. For believing me. Of course. You're my sister. We finished a long battle. But from here, a new battle begins. The battle to heal wounds. It will be long and difficult. But together, we can overcome it. 1 year later, Lily was receiving therapy at a long-term treatment facility. 3 times a week. Group therapy and individual sessions. Every Sunday, I visited with Noah. I'm really sorry. Lily still apologizes. But her complexion had improved. Little by little, her smile was coming back. Don't apologize. You protected him. You protected Noah. I handed Noah to my sister. My son at 1 year and 5 months old. He was starting to toddle around. Lily gently picked up Noah. He's gotten so big. Tears glistened in my sister's eyes. But they weren't tears of sadness. You know, I want to become a counselor for children. Lily looked at me. There was hope in those eyes. I want to help children who've been abused. For people like me who couldn't speak up. That's wonderful. You can definitely do it. Emma now goes to therapy once a week. With a child specialist counselor. At first she had nightmares. But now she's calm. Mom, was it good that I told the truth? One day, Emma asked. In a small voice. Anxiously. I hugged my daughter. Of course. You were so brave. Thanks to you, Noah, Aunt Lily, and I were all saved. Emma cried on my chest. My daughter who turned 7. Still so small, yet carrying a burden like an adult. But she's strong. Together, we'll heal these wounds. Mrs. Rodriguez still lives next door. Without her, we wouldn't be here now. I'm glad I was recording on my phone then. She said while making tea. If you hadn't been there. Families help each other. Even if we're not blood related, neighbors are family too. Mrs. Rodriguez's words touched my heart. A letter arrived from David's mother. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. I sincerely apologize for what my son did. But I don't ask for forgiveness. However, might I be allowed to see my grandchildren someday? It was written in careful handwriting. I thought for a long time. And then I wrote a reply. When Noah and Emma are grown, I'll tell them everything. And they'll decide. But for now, protecting them is my job. One day, Lily asked me. Hey, what do you think a real family is? I looked out the window. Blue sky. White clouds. Gentle wind. It's not blood. It's trust and protecting each other. I looked into my sister's eyes. You risked your life to protect Noah. Emma had the courage to tell the truth. Mrs. Rodriguez kept the evidence. That's family. Lily shed tears. Thank you. Now we live in a new house. We sold that house. A place without David's shadow. A bright living room. Large windows. A yard where the children can run around. Photos are displayed in the living room. Me and Emma and Noah. And another one. A photo with Lily too. The four of us smiling. A real family isn't about blood ties. It's about protecting each other, supporting each other, having the courage to speak the truth. Noah is growing up healthy. Emma is still playing with friends at school today. Lily is steadily walking the road to recovery. We survived. Covered in wounds, the pain still remains. But we'll continue to live together. At dusk, I stood in the yard and looked up at the orange sky. The wind blew gently. No longer cold. A new tomorrow is waiting for us.